Yo, 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 what's up, my AP Gov squad? It's Mr. H. And second block. Cheer. Yeah, second block. Weak sauce right there, guys. And we're going to hop in today. We're going to flip it, do something different. Episode 7 here. Federal Frenemies. Who's the real boss? Guys, we're going to do it together. We're going to collaborate. Maybe one of them's going to rap for us, too. I don't know. Maybe. So learning objective, explain how the constitutional allocation of power between the national and state governments affect our society today. So welcome back to Locked On AP Gov, the podcast where we decode democracy, meme the Constitution, and spill the tea, Boston Tea Party pun intended, on federalism. I'm your host, Mr. H, certified Constitution fanatic, and your favorite, I'm your favorite, AP U.S. government teacher. Maybe I'm also you're the only AP Gov teachers, so I gotta be. So buckle up. It's about to get bumpy, guys. Today's episode, we're going full beef mode because we're covering the most complicated love-hate relationship in American history, the states versus the national government. It's giving co-parenting energy, who controls the aux cord vibes, and just a touch of courtroom reality TV. So let's get it. Segment 1, federalism, it's complicated.
Let's kick it off with a spicy concept that's been stirring drama since 1787, federalism. Yeah, the big F word of government. No, not that F word. This is AP US Gov, not the bear. So what is federalism? Think of it like this. Imagine 2 roommates sharing an apartment. The national government is the one whose name is on the lease. They pay the rent and deal with the landlord, aka foreign policy, military, and money stuff. The state governments, they bring their own decorations, set their own curfews, and have different house rules for the rooms. Like one state might allow pets, another bans loud music after 10 p.m. And you're the citizen, just trying to stream Netflix, heat up your ramen, and vibe without drama.
But here's the twist. There's no master chore chart. So every time something goes down, like healthcare, education, weed laws, or even emergency response, these 2 roommates argue over who's supposed to handle it. You said you were taking out the trash. No, that's your job. I'm in charge of rent, not recycling. That's federalism in a nutshell. A power-sharing agreement that's constantly tested by real-world events. Sometimes the national government takes the lead like a helicopter parent. Other times it's like, states, you do you, and let's figure it out themselves. Hello, COVID-19 pandemic, school closings.
Oh, Mr. H back on the mic. Bottom line. Federalism, it's a complicated relationship status between the national and state governments. Think, it's not you, it's me. Who's really in charge here? Let's circle back after the Supreme Court decides. Segment 2 up. All right, so who's got what power? Great question. I'm glad you asked.
It's like the Hogwarts sorting hat, but instead of Gryffindor and Slytherin, it's all about who gets to flex what powers, federal, state, or both. Ever heard about exclusive powers? These powers are strictly for the national government. No sharing allowed. You'll find them written in the Constitution, enumerated, or hidden in plain sight through the elastic cause, implied powers. Think of Congress like that one overachiever in class who says, technically it wasn't assigned, but I did it anyways because it was absolutely necessary and proper. Examples of exclusive power: declaring war, because imagine 50 states all declaring their own wars. Chaos. Printing in coin money. We don't need a Florida peso or a Texas token. Thank you. Regulating trade across state lines with other countries. Interstate McChickens, that's federal.
All right, so Congress pulls this move a lot. Critics, wait. You didn't say you can make a national bank. Think McCulloch versus Maryland. Uh-oh. We just talked about that. Congress, no. But I can do what's necessary and proper. Thanks, bye, peace.
What about reserve powers? Thanks to the 10th Amendment, any power not directly given to the national government is automatically left to the states. It's like when your older sibling leaves for college and you finally get the remote. It's your time to shine. Examples of reserve powers: running schools. Don't like the school dress code? Take it up with your local school board. Marriage laws. Want to marry your cousin? Gross, but technically it's a state call. Running elections. Even for federal offices, yep, states control the polling rules and voter ID stuff. States be like, if it ain't the Constitution, it's ours, period.
And concurrent powers? Well, some powers are shared between the national and state governments, just like your big bro borrowing your Netflix password without asking. Examples of concurrent powers: collecting taxes. Yup, both Uncle Sam and your state want a piece of your payback. Double trouble. Enforcing laws. Federal and state cops both got sirens, but different jurisdictions. Building roads. Ever see a construction sign and wonder if it's state or federal? Trick question. It's probably both. But here's the catch. The Supremacy Clause says if there's a throwdown between federal and state law, federal wins every time. Like when your mom says no, but grandma says yes. Guess what? You live in your mom's house. Game over. Mom's rules are supreme.
All right, moving on to segment 3. Great job, guys. Money talks, how the Fed flexes control. Let's be real for a sec. Power equals money. And the federal government has the bag, power of the purse. And when they give out cash, there's always a catch.
They control states without even passing laws by using money. They just dangle that sweet federal cash right in front of our state's representative noses, and boom, mission accomplished. Revenue sharing. Here's free money. Do you? What?
Keep going.
Think of this as the federal gov saying, here's some cash, no strings, live your best life. Sounds amazing, right? Too bad it's basically extinct. Used to be common, now it's like VHS tapes and MySpace, a relic of the past. Why? It gave too much freedom to the states and not enough federal control, so they canceled it.
Block grants, here's money, but be cool with it. The feds say, use this for general stuff like health or education. Just don't spend it on 200 Taco Bell Crunch Wraps. States love block grants. It's like your parents giving you money and just saying, buy groceries. You walk out with trail mix, kombucha, and hot Cheetos. Close enough. Think losers rule equals more state freedom equals block grants and equals vibes.
Categorical grants. Now we're talking micromanagement. The feds are like, this money must go to the AP US government textbooks and nothing else. No banned instruments, no dodgeballs. And the states are like, can we at least pick the cover design of the textbook? The feds respond like, nah, little bros, stop asking whack questions. This is the most common type of grant. But can you guess why? Because DC loves control.
Mandates, do it, with or without money. This is where things get spicy. The federal government just drops the mic like, hey states, do this. We don't care, just do it. And sometimes there's no money attached. States are like, wait, who's paying for this? Feds say, not it, Supremacy Clause, remember? States are like, bruh.
Now, imagine Emperor Palpatine talking to Anakin Skywalker over Snapchat. Palpatine here. The Republic requires your full commitment, Lord Vader. Execute Order 66. And if you know what that is, you know. You know. Anakin, but at what cost? Are you sure? Palpatine, that's not your concern. Just do it. Electricity emoji soon follows after. Yeah, that's a federal mandate. The states equal young Jedi Anakin, confused and broken. The Feds, Palpatine, hitting them with the Supremacy Clause like it's the dark side of the Force. No debates, no funding, just obedience. Obey. And if states complain, Palpatine voice enters the chat like, I am the Senate.
Some examples of these are ADA compliance, building ramps, fixing sidewalks, building elevators, clean air and water standards, and Medicaid expansion acts.
All right, segment 4, real-world examples. It isn't just textbook drama. Okay, squad, this next segment, it's where the theory hits real life. These examples are straight up from the College Board's fave list, so don't sleep on them. Let's bring these federal fights into real life.
Now let's talk National Recovery Act of 1933. During the Great Depression, Franklin D. Roosevelt was playing. He pushed through the National Recovery Act, aka NRA, as part of the New Deal to stabilize the economy. It let the federal government regulate businesses, set wages, and control prices, stuff states usually handled. Well, why does this matter? Because this was a huge flex, flexed by the national government for the first time. Washington wasn't just giving suggestions, they were dropping the rule book and saying, all right, industries, we are all playing by the same rules now. No solo.
All right, so the new, Mr. H here, the New Deal, especially the National Recovery Act of 1933, was like FDR, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, hitting the group chat with, listen up, same pay codes, same hours, same labor standards, period. It was the federal government leveling up from background player to game master. Instead of letting every state or business run their own chaos, FDR pulled a main character moment and set the tone nationally. Bottom line, this moved the balance of power heavily towards the national government and away from states. And it hasn't been the same since. But spoiler alert, The Supreme Court later said nah and declared it unconstitutional in one of their court cases because it gave Congress too much control over local business. This was federalism beef level a gazillion, right? It showed just how far the feds would go in a crisis and how hard the states and courts could push back. All right, next up. Devolution Revolution, the 1980s. Enter the 80s. Big hair, weird music, and President Ronald Reagan leading what's called the Devolution Revolution. Basically telling the federal government to chill and let states run more of their own stuff. Reagan would have probably said, we don't need a big DC telling us how to manage schools, highways, and welfare. Let the states cook.
Why does it matter? Reagan pushed block grants instead of categorical grants. It marked the return of power to the states, especially over social programs. States were like, finally, let me parent my own kids again. This is what all about reducing federal control, increasingly state flexibility, and starting a decade-long kung fu war.
A decades-long tug of war, guys. All right, next up, federal response to Hurricane Katrina. Now, this one did affect Gulfport, Mississippi, and the coast, and then Hurricane Sandy in 2012. So who's in charge when storms hit? Natural disasters bring out federalism's confusion real quick. When Hurricane Katrina hits New Orleans and the Mississippi Gulf Coast in 2005, people expected fast help. But coordination between federal agencies like FEMA and state and local governments were an absolute mess, guys. Even the mayor of New Orleans, Louisiana, was stressing. He called his governor of Louisiana. The governor called the president. Everyone's pointing fingers and saying, where's FEMA? It was so bad it became a national meme. Now, fast forward to Hurricane Sandy in 2012. The federal response was more coordinated, but it still raised questions like who's responsible for what and how much control should the federal government take during emergencies.
But why does it matter? Disasters test the balance between states and federal responsibilities. When the system fails, people suffer, and politicians take the heat.
All right, next up, number 4, National Minimum Drinking Age Act of 1984. Congress didn't directly ban states from letting 18-year-olds drink. That would have been too obvious. Instead, they said, if your state doesn't raise the drinking age to 21, we'll cut your interstate highway funding by 10%. Translation, play by our rules or no money for your roads. That is strings attached, guys. Cooperative federalism at its finest. States grumbled, but eventually every one of them raised the age to 21 because they needed the money, and money talks loud.
Why does it matter? This shows how the federal government uses categorical grants with strings attached to make states comply, even when they technically don't have to. This is fiscal federalism at its pettiest and most effective.
All right, so big keyword here, cooperative federalism. Think fiscal federalism, very similar. They are distinct and different. Fiscal federalism deals with money being offered to states to do certain programs, all right? So very similar. All right, moving on to 5, state legalization of marijuana. This is when the feds said no, and Colorado replied,
Catch me outside. How about that?
In 2012, Colorado and Washington state legalized marijuana for recreational use, even though federal law still said it was illegal under a Controlled Substance Act. So what happened? Weed shops opened. People partied legally. The federal government mostly looked the other way, but legally, they could have shut it down.
Why does it matter? This is a perfect example of states' laws conflicting with federal laws. Thanks to Supremacy Clause, federal laws is technically supposed to win, but enforcement has been inconsistent.
Basically, states said,
weed is legal.
Feds said, well, technically it's not, fam. Just don't mess up. We're watching. It's modern federalism in real time and a test of what happens when the feds don't flex their supremacy muscles. Even President Barack Obama said, let's use Colorado and Washington state as a laboratory for democracy, a test case for democracy. And let's see what happens. So whether it's war, weed, or weather, federalism shapes our daily lives more than most people realize. And these examples show just how messy, creative, and chaotic state-federal relationship can be. All right, fam, so that's a wrap for episode 7, and I appreciate Period 2, Block 2, helping me collaborate and make this an awesome episode. Y'all lock in, stay bold, stay curious, stay locked on AP Gov. Mr. H, out. Peace.